Hi everyone. So in this lesson, we are basically just gonna talk a little bit about what is data fusion and basically what is its purpose. Okay, so let me continue here. Let me move my face a bit. Yep, I think here can't make it smaller. So what is Google Datafusion? Basically, it's a data integration tool based on an open source tool called CDAP. So I suggest everyone to check out CDAP as an open source tool. You can easily find an official Docker image and run it locally in case you don't want to have a managed version in Datafusion. Okay, and then this comes to the second point, that Datafusion managed the entire data processing infrastructure in Spark. Okay, what is the gain with that? Is basically you don't need to manage any of yours infrastructure codes and cluster nodes, name nodes, all the infrastructure components that are in a Hadoop cluster that you need to run a Spark. Okay, so this is one of the main advantages that we have when we use Datafusion. Everything is nearly totally managed, and you still can apply some customization to the cluster and tuning it a little bit, but the gross and the hard work is all done by Datafusion, so you don't need to manage your infrastructure. If you end up using CDAP, you're gonna need to manage your infrastructure, okay? But anything you build on CDAP locally, on your local environment, if you want, it's easy to migrate to Datafusion later on because the pipelines are pretty much the same. Okay. Other cool point is this is natively integrated on Google Cloud with leading data services. Datafusion is basically integrated with nearly every resource, especially the data resources from Google Cloud. Okay, so if you want to work with BigQuery, Google Cloud Storage, I mean the object storage, you can easily do that because you're gonna find connectors with that. Okay, Google Data Proc also. So fourth point here, it's that Datafusion is a visual style, so it's uses development in a visual way. So you can use drag and drop to connect tasks in develop your ETL and ELT data pipelines without code or low code. We can do some code because we can run queries within Datafusion, okay? But most of the operations can be done with drag and drop and clicking. You're gonna see that we can do a lot of data transformation, the deduplication, error handling with just clicks. So we're gonna see some similar functions as we see in Excel, and we're gonna see how to use regex for that. Okay, it accelerates the value creation with data by eliminating skill gaps. Basically, the goal of CDAP is to manage everything for you, and then you can just worry with creating the pipelines and then basically bringing the value faster. Can you imagine comparing, for example, with a Hadoop environment or even a Databricks environment? You mostly need some time to set everything up in advance, and also you need the skill. Okay, you need to know how to code on Spark, SQL, Python to be able to use those tools, and also need to know how to manage all of them. So Datafusion comes to close this gap because we know that there is a lack of manpower actually in the market. And last point here is it democratizes the creation of ETL and decentralizes it. So streamlining the processes and removing bottlenecks. So main goal is to accelerate everything because every user now can own data transformation pipelines, and thus can foster much more data and bring value in a faster way. Okay, so what are similar tools? I think that's important for us to have in mind if we are learning Datafusion where I'm going to apply similar concepts. Definitely gonna apply this on Alteryx, which is basically also an ETL tool with some data science packages for you to work with it. We have Talent, which is also a very powerful tool that works in pretty much the same way. One of the main competitors, I would say, is Azure Data Factory, because it lives on Microsoft Azure, which is one of the biggest concurrent from GCP together with AWS, right? So Azure Data Factory is a very powerful data integration tool also. CDAP, which is the open source version that Datafusion is based on. We could also compare this with SQL Server Integration Services, which is, I would say it's part of the old data stack from Microsoft, but it works in a similar way with tasks, drag and drop, and creating dependencies. And last but not least, Pentaho, which is also an open source tool that is very, very worldwide adopted. Okay, so here we're gonna see some interfaces. I just want to show you a bit how all those tools look, and you're gonna see that they're pretty much they're very similar. So this is the interface of Alteryx. Okay, we can see that we have boxes. So basically these boxes are the inputs, and we have some tasks saying some function names. So for example, union, and then here we have a filter. This filter might filter data and send to A and to BC, more filtering, splitting, and then a final result. What we're gonna see in another type of tool would be Azure Data Factory. We can see that we have a similar approach in a nicer interface, but basically we have the boxes with tasks. So a source data from S3, a task probably triggering a Spark job to process the data and send it to a SQL DW database, data warehouse. Also working with errors, we see here an email notification, for example. All right, and here we have Talent, which is also a very used tool. We can see pretty much the same thing, the same buttons like start, pausing, saving, importing, exporting. We see the same kind of boxes with tasks and lines connecting the tasks, thus giving the direction of our ETL pipeline. And last but not least, we can see here the Google Cloud Datafusion interface. We can see that it's a pretty modern and nice looking. So this is different from the other vendors. We can see here lots of menus where we can export sources, transformation, analytics, syncs. We're gonna see all of them. Also, we see save, deploy, import, export, preview, all the boxes with tasks. For example, sourcing from GCS, sourcing from Postgres, and also, yeah, wrangling. We're gonna work on it, doing some joins, BigQuery as a sync. Yeah, we're gonna see all of them. But you can see that all of them, they have a similar approach in the UI interface and in the way they create data pipelines as a data integration tool. That's basically it.